My heart didn't just beat, it lunged against my ribs. The heavy thud of Gina's heels on the hardwood floor was a death knell. She wasn't supposed to be back for hours. I was suddenly startled by the noise from downstairs and quickly grabbed everything on the bed, the silk, the lace, the evidence of my intrusion, and rushed into my room. I threw it all into the dark recesses of my closet, my hands shaking so violently I could barely grip the hangers. I stood in the center of my room, my breath coming in shallow, jagged gasps. I smoothed my hair, wiped my damp eyes, and forced my face into the submissive, blank mask I wore for her. I headed downstairs, my legs feeling like lead, to find Gina in a state of frantic agitation. She was hunting for her wallet, which had apparently fallen out of her purse during her errands. She was a whirlwind of sharp movements and muttered curses, tossing cushions aside and rifling through the mail on the entryway table. "Brian, did you see my wallet?" she snapped, not even looking at me. Her voice was like a whip. "No, Gina," I whispered, my voice thin and trembling. "I haven't seen it." "Useless," she hissed. When she couldn't find it in the living room or the kitchen, she turned her predatory gaze toward the stairs and headed up to the bedroom. This threw me into a state of absolute paralyzing paranoia. My mind became a frantic loop of what-ifs. Did I leave anything laying out up there? I could see the pink lace in my mind's eye, a splash of color on her pristine white duvet. Did I close the closet? I imagined the door swinging open to reveal the memories I had stolen from her. Did I close the drawer to the nightstand? The image of her sex toys exposed to the light made my stomach churn with a sickening heat. I stood at the bottom of the stairs, my head bowed, listening to the sound of her moving through the room I had just violated. Every footstep felt like it was landing on my own chest. I waited for the scream, for the accusation, for the moment my world would finally, irrevocably end. The Seattle rain continued its relentless weeping outside, a somber backdrop to my terror. "Found it," she shouted suddenly. Her voice carried a note of triumph, as if I had been helping her search or even cared about her frantic mission. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding, my knees nearly giving way. She hadn't seen, or if she had, she hadn't realized. I retreated to the living room, sitting on the edge of the couch and turning on the television, just as Gina rushed back downstairs. I stared at the flickering images on the screen, some mindless talk show, not seeing any of it. I just needed to look normal. Gina didn't even glance my way as she grabbed her keys, her mind already back on her salon appointment. She wanted to leave quickly so she wouldn't miss her time. I rushed to the window. I watched through the mist as her car pulled out of the driveway, the red taillights disappearing into the gray Seattle gloom. Only then did I allow myself to collapse. I ran back upstairs and locked my door. I undressed with shaking hands, navigating the complex fastenings of the pink bustier. The tight corset compressed my ribs, forcing me to breathe in shallow feminine gasps. I pulled on the pink garter belt, the panties, and the tight white fishnet stockings. I stepped into a pair of my mother's white heels and faced the mirror. "This is a new feeling for me," I whispered to the girl in the reflection. The therapy didn't work that day. The pink lace felt like a shroud. I realized that the isolation I had built for myself was no longer a sanctuary. It was a cage. And Gina, with her sharp eyes and her bitter heart, was starting to look through the bars. As I continued talking to myself, Gina was quietly sitting while a small Vietnamese woman was giving her a pedicure. I can see her there in my mind, eyes closed, a mask of calm on her face, while her mind worked like a precision watch. She couldn't figure out how things in her room suddenly moved. She is a woman who trusts no one, and in a house where my father is a ghost, I was the only other one in the house, and it didn't take long for her to suspect me. When she finally returned, she didn't confront me immediately. She was strategic, waiting for just the right moment to strike. When she came home that day, she didn't scream. She didn't throw things. That's not her way. She didn't instantly accuse me, knowing that a direct confrontation would only lead to a quick denial. Instead, she watched me. She tried to manipulate the situation, throwing out barbed comments and watching for the flinch. I did my best to channel my sister Brittany's strength, trying not to play games with Gina. But I am not Brittany. I am submissive by nature, a creature of the shadows, and while her manipulation failed to get a confession, I remained unable to protect myself when I was out of the house.